Hi, everyone. I am Sharon Lavery, Music Director of the Downey Symphony Orchestra. Because we are not able to be with you in person right now, I'm going to be hosting a series of Zoom sessions with some of our wonderful Downey Symphony musicians. We hope you enjoy them, and we sure hope that soon we will be able to be with you in person together at our Downey Theater. The first session is with Carolyn Osborn, and we hope you enjoy. Thanks, everyone. We're here today with the concertmaster of the Downey Symphony Orchestra, Ms. Carolyn Osborn. Carolyn has been the concertmaster of the Downey Symphony Orchestra for almost 30 years. I have found her to be a wonderful colleague and an excellent leader, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome her here today. So applause for Carolyn Osborn. This is Zoom applause, Carolyn.
Thank you.
And we're so happy that you've joined us today. And maybe you could just give us a little bit about your background, where you grew up, where you went to school, all those good things.
Great. Well, it's such a great pleasure to be here with you, Sharon, as always. So I was born here in LA. I'm LA born and raised. My dad was getting his doctorate at USC at the time when I was born. So I'm very familiar with this whole area. And let's see, I grew up, I did all my studying here in Los Angeles. And then once I got through high school, I went back east to Rochester, New York, where I went to the Eastman School of Music. And that's where I got my bachelor's degree in music there. And I studied with Zvi Zeitlund, who was a fabulous teacher. And so I was there for 4 years. Then I returned to LA, actually did a year at CalArts, California Institute of the Arts, which was not the most good experience for me. There were some good things, but didn't work. And then I went to USC myself and got my master's degree at USC studying with Eustace Shapiro.
Oh.
So I kind of came full circle, as it were, back to USC. And when my dad was getting his doctorate and he was working, my mother, who's also a violinist, had actually taken some lessons with Eustace when she was younger, and with my dad when he was there. So again, it kind of just was a big full circle experience. And then I just started working. And after I graduated from USC, I got into the San Diego Symphony. So I was down there for about 5 years. 5-6 years, and then I moved back up to LA, and that was in the late 80s. And it was at that point, and my dad had just, Dr. Thomas Osborn had just become conductor of the Downey Symphony, I think around 87 or 88, I can't remember exactly. And after I moved back up here, I then assumed the role of concertmaster of the Downey Symphony around 1990 or so. And I have been doing it ever since.
Mm-hmm.
Here, and plus just doing the other freelance stuff here in town, doing lots of other orchestras and other things as well.
Yeah, you've done very well. I go to the Hollywood Bowl in the summer, and there's my Carolyn.
Yep, I'm in the Hollywood Bowl Orchestra. I've been doing that about 30 years as well. And also around the same time, I got into the Long Beach Symphony, where I've been the assistant principal second there for 30 years, and as well as playing principal second off and on throughout the years. So those things have been keeping me busy and happy until this year.
Yes. Well, thanks for that. I have some of my own favorite concerts and moments with the Downey Symphony, but I'm wondering if you have any favorite concerts or moments. I mean, it's been a long time. I realize that.
It's been a long time. I know one of the most interesting and challenging concerts for me was the first time I did Scheherazade with my father back in the day. But in those days, it was a much smaller string section. So whereas now we have about 5 stanza firsts or 5.5 stanza firsts and 5 stanza seconds, at that point we had about 3 stands, maybe 4 stands.
Oh, wow.
And it was really hard because I couldn't relax. I had to carry everything as well as focus on the solos in Scheherazade. And also in those days, the rehearsals used to be Saturday afternoon and then the Saturday night concert. And after that, I just said, Dad, nope, can't do that anymore. I can't, it's too exhausting. I can't function, do it twice in one day and have that small of an orchestra. So it was after that point in time that things started to build up and we got a little closer to a more full-size orchestra than we did then.
I distinctly remember your Scheherazade that we did together, and how that actually was one of my favorite concerts. That was one of my favorite moments. And it was a stunning performance.
Thank you. It was great to do it again. As always, you know, you don't get to do these pieces that often, and to get a second or third chance to do it, it's like, oh, I can finally fix all those things that I didn't do right the first time.
Exactly. Well, some of my favorite moments have actually come with our children's concerts, and many of you fans of the Downey Symphony and Downey Symphonic Society know that we give 2 children's concerts per year. Usually in the fall, we bus in every 3rd grader that we have in the city of Downey, and we do a concert for them. And then in the spring, we bus in every 5th grader and do a concert for them. It's usually how it works. And there's been some great moments in those concerts, but maybe, Carolyn, maybe you could talk about why those concerts and the music in the schools, why that's particularly special to you.
It's very special because, again, that was one of the things that my father actually started. They were not happening originally when he took over the job. And so probably in the early 90s, around 93, 94, somewhere in that range, he brought it to the board and said, you know, it'd be great if we could go to the schools and bring some music to the schools. And in those days, we started as a trio. So it was just my dad playing clarinet. He played clarinet. I played violin, and our lovely Mark Artuzio on bass. And the 3 of us started going as a trio. And my father made all the arrangements. So he took regular orchestral pieces and made an arrangement for trio. And so we gave this great, 40-minute, 35, 40-minute program to the kids. Well, the first year or 2 was a little chaotic, to say the least, because the kids had no idea what this was, how to behave. Right. In many cases, the teachers were worse than the kids. They're like, well, why do the kids need all this music? And the kids were loving it. But after 2 or 3 years, we trained them. And it became the favorite program every year that we did. They would come, we would come, and they just loved it. And after about 4 years, I think 4 or 5 years, we then expanded it to the quintet that it is now. So we have violin, bass, clarinet, trombone, and percussion. And again, my father made arrangements from all of the orchestral pieces, and we had 4 programs that we rotated with different themes. And so the kids got sort of a basic understanding of what music is, what style is, what rhythm is, soft and loud, just all of those different things, the periods of music, whether it's Baroque, whether it's modern, whether it's classical. And it was brilliant, it was really, and again, the kids just loved it, and we've become a staple in the schools, and they all know us, and the janitor who cleans up kind of because, oh, you're back again. It's like, yes, we're back again.
Well, when we do those children's concerts in the theater, they all recognize you guys.
Right.
They all know you.
Right.
Yeah. One of the things that we do in those children's concerts, speaking to our friends and family here, is we demonstrate the instruments. Right. And I actually have a little clip here of Carolyn and Colleen Coomber as they demonstrate. I think this is in a 5th grade concert, as they demonstrate their instrument. I'm going to try to share my screen here. And Carolyn, you'll let me know if this actually works. So this is a little clip. There's Carolyn and Colleen, and they're about to demonstrate what the violin sounds like. And Carolyn, just give me the thumbs up if you can hear.
Yeah, and just so they know, this is the beginning of the last movement of the Bach double violin concerto. So it's for 2 violins. specifically.
Got it.
All right. Well, we're so happy that you joined us this morning. And we think it's a good idea to start with demonstrating what the instruments sound like. And so I think we'll start with the string section, because it's really the string section that's the backbone of the orchestra, right? So I think we should start with the highest member of the string family. Let's hear what the violin sounds like.
How about that?
There we are.
Great stuff. This is one of my favorite parts when you guys, everybody does their demonstrations. I look forward to it every year. Now I want our Downey Symphonic Society friends and families to understand a very important aspect of your concertmaster position. Some conductors provide what are called bowings, right? Mm-hmm. And bowings are the decisions made whether to go down bow and up bow. And I am a clarinet player, so I am just it's my personal opinion that I have no business telling string players which way to go. Now, once in a while in rehearsal, I might say, Carolyn, can we just try that all down bows? And every time they're very flexible. But I thought it would be fun today to talk to Carolyn about this, because it's Carolyn who decides the bowings. So I give her the music and she goes through and marks down where she thinks it should be a down bow and an up bow. And I'm going to have her demonstrate some things for you. But Carolyn, let's not forget to talk about why sometimes something would be an up bow or a down bow or an up bow as we go through our little demonstration here, okay? So the first thing I want Carolyn to play for us is something that's called, she's just gonna play a scale, and it's something that's called détaché, and it means detached, and it means that each note has its own bow. So Carolyn, give us a scale détaché. Okay, so each note has its own bow. Now she's going to play something the same scale when it's a slur over those notes, which means the bow is going to go one way, and maybe Carolyn on the way down you go the other way, whatever you want to do. And now she's going to do the same thing and start on an up bow. Maybe can you explain why sometimes something would be better on an up bow?
Okay, so an up bow, as you can see, the bow is a little thinner at the top, it's a little thicker at the bottom. There's also this frog here, which is heavier. So very often the up bow is a lighter sound, or something you want a little softer. It's easier to start here softer than here, where it's a little heavier, and you're going to come out with a little stronger attack or sound.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. And sometimes with crescendos, it's easier, right?
Right, right. And so then when you're crescendoing, you can do it that way too.
Exactly. And when she first played the détaché, it was what we call on the string. The bow really never left the string. But maybe you could play it, the fancy term is spiccato, but maybe you could play it off the string.
Okay.
I made the mistake early on in my career. There was a very fast spiccato section, and the composer specified spiccato, meaning short and light and off the string. And I said, okay, well, we have to rehearse that. Let's slow it way down. Let's slow it way down. And all my string players said, no. It's harder. Let's just practice it, but up to tempo, because it's harder to control the bow, right?
Tempo or speeds at some of these strokes. When we're doing all these different things, it's like it's a different stroke. And so certain tempos work better at certain speeds. And so you can slow it down a little bit, but it doesn't really necessarily work unless it's going at the pretty much the correct speed to a certain extent.
Right. I know in one of our children's concerts, if you do that too slow, it's hard to control that ricochet.
Right. And especially with the ricochet. It's a bounce, so I'm bouncing 2 strokes and going up. So you can kind of do it slow, but it's.
Yeah, but she's making it sound easier than it is. That's a really tough stroke and really hard to control that. And that's why you can't take the Mars movement of Holst the Planets. You can't take that too slow, because that's a whole different story. That's Colegno and Ricochet, and we won't even get into all
that. Go into that.
No, that's another day. It's so helpful, and I think very interesting to our friends and patrons, just to, realize, how important your role is. And it's the decisions that you make, that you put in your music, and then you give it to Colleen.
Right, and it gets all the string section, the whole string section, because there are times when there are certain pieces where all of the whole string section will be playing the same melody, their same tune. So you need to have it all doing the same bowing, because it's also the visual aspect. When you're out in the audience, if you've got the bows going, up and down and this way, it gets very distracting, and it comes out with a different sound. When everybody's in unison and going together with the same articulation and bowing, it creates a much more homogeneous sound and concept of what you're trying to achieve.
Exactly. And sometimes in rehearsal, I'll be rehearsing in the violins, and I'll look to Carolyn and go, Carolyn, and that means the back stand didn't put in the right bowing.
It didn't get the message.
Exactly. But it is a visual thing, and it is important to try to have as much uniform. I mean, there's times where we can't do it. The second violins.
And then everybody, when they're doing different parts, you're doing your own thing. That's a whole nother thing. And having played in the second violin section a lot, there are times when you can match. You have to kind of match the first violins, but there are times when it's just enough different that you have to do your own thing. But then you kind of come back to it and you match up with them at some point. So it's an interesting game of coordination, of figuring it all out.
Exactly. Well, I don't want these sessions to be too long. Short and sweet. I think I would like to close with maybe you just telling us why you love playing in the Downey Symphony.
I love playing in the Downey Symphony because it's been so much like a family. It's been a lot of the same people for so many years, and there's a real bond and connection, and everybody really supports the organization and has a great time doing it. There's a lot of orchestras we do that's just a gig, and you show up and you play and you go home. This group has a real bond and connection that's been very tight for many years. And it's really grown and progressed over the years. And we've done some amazing concerts. We've been doing a lot of newer pieces lately, which, new music, which is really exciting. And as a musician, it's, you love the old standards and you love the basic ones, as we call the war horses, but then it's fun to do something new and different and to find those new gems that are like, oh, wow, this is very cool. So it's really exciting. And then, I've also had the opportunity to play solo with the orchestra a couple of times. And so that's been a lot of fun, and just bringing in different soloists. So it's always, it's great. It's been such a pleasure, and I've really enjoyed it, and it's kept me going
Yeah.
these years.
Yeah. I felt that feeling of family at my audition.
Mm-hmm.
I walked onto that stage, and it just was like, it's a warm, welcoming, collaborative ensemble.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts with its concertmaster. So
Well,
I
thank you.
appreciate that. Yeah,
Thank
I really appreciate that. I want to thank Carolyn so much for being with us today. So informative. I want to remind everyone that although we're not physically able to be with you, you know, you can still show us your support. You just need to visit our website. There's a support button down below. You can support in many ways, donations or volunteer, or there's a whole section on our website. It's pretty easy. If you would do us the kind favor of visiting us and supporting us. And I want to thank the Downey Symphonic Society Board of Directors for sponsoring this series of Zoom sessions with our fabulous musicians. And next week, we will visit with our principal oboist, Kathy Del Russo. So Carolyn Osborn, thank you so very much. And I look forward to seeing you all at our next Zoom session. Thanks, everybody.